What's up, Realtors Toolbox? I'm hanging out with the amazing Jeremy McGrath. He is the best home inspector I know. So today we're going to talk about home inspecting. So does the average person need a home inspector? We'll find out today. Jeremy, tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, I am Jeremy. I am with Twinspections Home Inspections. Little introduction. I've been doing this about 10 years. To answer your question, should the average person get a home inspection? Absolutely. It is imperative that you gain all the knowledge you can about a property before you make probably the single largest purchase in your lifetime. So it's very important to do that.
Yeah. Which area do you work in?
I service the Yuba Sutter area primarily. I also service Sacramento, Butte County, pretty much all the way down to the Bay Area.
Wow. That's a really big territory.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's I don't mind driving. Yeah, I like it. So
yeah, you turn some tunes on. It's a little therapy, whatever.
That's it. That's really it.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me one bit and gives me a break.
That's
until
good.
I get on the road with other drivers. Then I'm thinking,
Right. You probably hit some traffic in the Bay sometimes when you're there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So does the average home inspector need to be licensed or?
Typically, yes. In most states, California, we are kind of a little anomaly. I think it's us and one other state. You don't actually have a specific licensing to be a home inspector in the state of California. There's no governing body, I should say, for us. There are multiple certification programs you can go through, which I highly recommend. Some people can just kind of wander over from a trade into doing home inspections. I tend to say stay away from doing that. Get your certs, get your all the certifications you can get. Join. There are affiliate programs you can get continuing education through. Mine specifically is InterNACHI. That is the world's largest home inspector network. A lot of great tools and continuing education in there. Kind of keeps us on our toes for a monthly membership fee, and really, really good stuff. And I recommend anyone to it. Like I said, there are some local other things you can try. Here in Sacramento, we have an ASHI program that you can physically go down and do. There are some online programs you can do. So a lot of stuff that is good out there for home inspectors to continually get education and stay up on things.
Yeah, things change, right? Like codes change a lot and...
They do. Home inspectors actually don't cite codes. Codes vary state to state, county to county, from municipality to municipality sometimes. So what we have what's called a standard of practice. Standard of practice, or SOP for short, varies between some of these other home inspection affiliates I was telling you about. But for the most part, they are just generally the general knowledge of home inspectors.
Gotcha. So a home inspector would carry insurance or maybe a bond or something?
Absolutely. They should. There may be guys out there kind of beware of fly-by-night inspectors, especially ones with lower fees and things like that. So it's always good to ask your home inspector, are you bonded? Are you insured? All that good stuff. I carry liability and errors and omissions insurance, which is very important in this line of work. Same thing with realtors, things like that. It's just good practice, and it gives people peace of mind that you're a professional.
Okay. So if I wanted a home inspection, roughly how much am I thinking about here?
It kind of depends on your area. Let's say you go down to the Bay Area, you're probably going to pay a little bit more. It's a little bit higher incomes down there, and a little bit cost of living more. So where we are in Yuba City, my average fee is $375 for under 2,000 square foot home. That's competitive. You go to Sacramento, square footage wise, it goes up in increments per 500 square feet. There could be a shop or a pool that needs to be inspected. We charge a little bit more for those and things like that. So you start adding on these kind of accessories, amenities, it can get a little pricier, but not much.
So to be honest, to me, that sounds like a deal. I mean, you're going to come in as a professional and look at all the things that I don't understand.
Correct. And the way that I tend to look at it is if I find more than $375 worth of things, which I guarantee I'm probably gonna, it's paid for itself. Kind of look at myself as a bit of a bargaining chip. When I do, let's say I find $5,000 worth of repairs, you can take my report and cite it for those repairs, or you can set it for a credit. And that's where the realtor comes in and the negotiation terms on that.
It just depends on the situation, right? If a homeowner is in a position to make the repairs or hire somebody to make the repairs, or yeah, sometimes the buyers will get some money back. It just depends on the situation. But
Yeah, and they
super,
can also have the repairs done and paid out of escrow as well.
that could be that. So it's about, how long is the report take roughly?
Some guys it could be different. My turnaround is generally within 24 hours. I try to turn my report same day, just depending on how busy we are.
Yeah,
But generally within 24 hours.
that's reasonable. Okay. What are some of the really great stories you have as far as what you found in your home inspections that were surprising?
Well, nothing surprises me anymore, really. I've found very big structural problems, and I find lots of things. We don't tend to really get into cosmetic things and things of taste. If a kid draws on a wall with a crown or something like that, that's not that big of a deal. But
Yeah.
you know, especially when it comes to structural, electrical, plumbing, things like that, roofs, we're looking for the big ticket items that's going to cost people money. Water is a home's worst enemy, so we're always looking for water damage, conducive conditions for water damage and dry rot and things like that. So I can tell you that we did a inspection on a 1970s built home in Sacramento. One of the more jarring things I've probably seen was we went under and the post and pier blocks that were supporting the home were completely decimated. I mean, they were cracked all the way through and through. Some people would see something like that and think, "Oh gosh, the weight of the house," or improper grading. What I think actually happened was the precast pier blocks were not cast properly. Maybe there was too much sand in the aggregate or something had caused those to weaken, and the weight of the home then crushed them that way. So that was a pretty big one, and that's an expensive, very invasive fix. Even new builds, we found some things before. It's rare. Homes nowadays are built to such a high standard and go through so many inspections just during the phases of building and have to be signed off on. So a lot of times it's we don't find a lot with new builds, but I did have a very arrogant builder tell me one time that he uh, uh, did a great job and that I wasn't going to find anything and all this stuff. And I said, "Those are your famous last words, man, because now that you said that, I'm going to find something. I am." And sure enough, I go in and a lot of these, I'm opening and closing windows and they only opened about halfway and got stuck, so they weren't framed in properly. And it
Oh my
cost them about
goodness.
$3,500 to fix 5 brand new windows. Um,
Brand new.
that's a brand new build, so it's still a good idea.
Yeah.
One thing I would tell the viewers is that it is difficult to get a home inspector out to new builds. Sometimes builders don't want us poking around. They try and make it very difficult for us to come inspect them. So they just built it. They don't want to do anything more.
Yeah.
So, and I understand that, but at the same time, if you're a prospective home buyer, even a new builds can have issues too.
Sure.
Like you said, it's rare, but we want to go out there and double check everything, and you might run into some issues with builders.
Yeah. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and she said her brand new house, one of the wood planks on the floor had this real large scratch on it, and she let it go. She didn't say anything to the builder, so they never did anything about it. And it just got worse over time. I mean, if you don't tackle these things in the beginning, it's just going to get worse over time.
Yeah.
So when you're coming in to inspect a house, you're looking at roof, electrical, plumbing. Um,
Anywhere I can fit my big butt into, we're gonna look at it.
so you're going underneath when you can, you're going above when you can, on
As
top
long
when
as
you
we can
can.
safely access it, yes. As long as we can safely access it and it's accessible, we will look at it.
Do you
It's
see?
home inspections are they're not technically exhaustive, but they and not technically invasive, but they are at the same time. So let's say I'm not going to take apart the HVAC unit. I'm going to take the dead front off, something that's easily removable, just like a faceplate or something like that. But we're not going to tear into it. We're not going to take ducting apart and look in that. Those are specialty items that need to be done by an HVAC technician, or something. We're not going to take apart electrical systems and things like that. That's for an electrician. We are generalists. It's a general visual inspection.
Gotcha. So you can see, okay, hey, the HVAC works. It's working fine. It seems to be
Right.
strong. But if there's a
Yeah.
problem, you might say, oh,
We're
go
going to
find a
operate normal
specialist.
controls.
Normal controls. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. Okay. So if you ever spot termites, is that something you would note on your report?
Yes, wood destroying organisms are part of a typical home inspection and
Okay.
conducive conditions for them. So, conducive condition for dry rot could be something like peeling paint, water hitting the side of the home, things like that, busted roof tile, things like that, where rainwater can get in, things like that. That's going to be your conducive conditions for structural wood damage.
That sounds great. Okay. I think that covers a lot, actually.
Mhm.
You're covering every single electrical outlet in the
Yeah.
house.
That we can get to. If someone, if let's say there's a tenant or the owner is still occupying the home, we don't move personal belongings. If they have something plugged into those outlets, we cannot remove them. We cannot check them.
Okay.
So it's important to know that if you are getting a home inspection and you have a home inspector coming in, to try and unplug the things that you can. Lamps and whatnot that provide lighting are one thing, but if you've got cell phone chargers and things like that, testing one outlet's better than none. So if we can get to it, we can get to it. That'd be great.
Gotcha. So do you encourage the buyers or maybe the sellers to be there, or do you like the agents to be there? Like, what is helpful for you?
So typically, the whoever orders the home inspection is welcome to be there during the process. I don't mind if people ask me questions and things like that. What I do like to tell people is generally what we do is we go in and we perform the home inspection, and the buyer usually comes after the home inspection is completed, and we do a walkthrough with them. And the reason we do that is because if the buyer is there during the time of inspection and is following the inspector, and it's kind of like having the teacher stand over you while you're doing your math homework, or doing a test or something like that.
You don't like
And
that?
yeah, everyone loves that.
Yeah.
So not only that, but at the same time, let's say when I go through a house, I've got kind of a process. And the
Mhm.
reason we do that is so we don't miss things. If we have someone that says, hey, what about this over here, while I'm in the middle of inspecting a water heater, and I go over there to answer that question, which is fine. But coming back, I'm going, okay, where was I? And that is when things can get overlooked. So generally, the rule of thumb is try and be there after the inspection. We're going to go through everything we found anyway. So that's probably what I would tell most people. But
Yeah.
again, it's their inspection. They're welcome to be there and tag along if they want to.
How can a real estate agent make it harder for you? Or what do you not like like some will do? What makes it difficult?
Well, I mean, every home inspection is different. Every realtor is different. Really, it just comes down to communication is key. Communicating those things with the client, with the uh, real estate agent on the other side, making sure things are out of the way. I need access to a crawl space or an attic hatch. Meaning, if it's in a closet, please have them remove things. Because then, if not, we've got to come back when it's all moved, and things just get kind of muddled, and you might have to extend your inspection contingency window because you only have a certain amount of time to get these done in a real estate transaction. And then everyone's mad if you've got to push that out. So, these people want to buy a house. These people want to sell a house. Let's get it done. Let's get everything, communicated well so we can get everything inspected within that time frame. And, so they can make their decisions.
There you go. All right. Well, it sounds like a pretty simple process. It takes what, an hour, 2 hours, depending on the house?
Sounds simple.
Well, I mean,
Everything always sounds simple.
you make it look good. So there you go. You make it look easy.
I try.
So, well, that's good. Are there any other services you offer, such as radon, or do you look at mold? Do you do mold testing? You mentioned pools earlier and spas, hot tubs. How do those extra things work?
So let's say spas and hot tubs are generally specialty equipment that are added on unless they're built in with a pool. We will inspect them with a pool inspection. Our pool inspections are very general. We are not going to go into the detail that a licensed pool contractor or pool specialist is going into, like testing pH levels in the water and things like that. That's all done by a pool specialist. And usually we always recommend, having a pool technician come out monthly to maintain the pool. Some people have the wherewithal to do it themselves, but it's always better, especially with the cost of chemicals. You might as well just get a pool guy, to come out every month, or a pool gal, I should even say. So with that said, radon, I don't personally do radon. Radon is a very kind of niche thing. Some areas have more higher radon than others. Here in Yuba City, we don't really have much issue with it. I know there are some places down in Sacramento where the radon's a little bit higher, in the Elk Grove area and things like that. But generally, people can actually do their own radon tests. They sell test kits online. You leave it out on your table for a day, check it the next day. You can send in your findings and things like that to professionals as well. With mold, we do note evidence of stainings. I don't actually call things mold because I am not a mold remediation company. You can also have those things tested by a qualified mold expert. If you do find any particular staining, they will go in my general report as a notation of staining that may be caused by a microbial growth. That is about the gist of what a general home inspector will call.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Any last words of wisdom?
Get your home inspected. It's a great service. It is worth its weight in gold. Get your home warranties. Listen to your realtor. Your realtor knows best. Trust me, especially Michelle.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's definitely great to have an inspection. And when you get that report and see what's going on, you'll feel a little peace of mind because you'll know what you're really walking into.
Right.
I think sometimes when we're buying a home, and I've been there too. I bought a home in 2021. And sometimes when you walk into the house, you're like, this place is great. And you have your rosy glasses on, and the home inspector will kind of bring you down a little bit and say, okay, it's great. Find this, fix that.
We're not trying to.
Keep an eye on this. No, it's a good thing. Like, we really
Right.
need a reality check as to,
Right.
hey, you're making a big purchase, and this could be, hey, I'm not going under the house, so I need somebody like Jeremy to help me out to say, oh man, this is what's happening under, this is what's happening in the attic, this is what's happening on your roof, and things I can't do. So I think it's
same thing with same thing on the other side. If you're selling a home, it's good to probably get out ahead of it. A lot of sellers don't care to get home inspections, but things go out of sight, out of mind. There are things that you just don't think about that need to be done, and you can really set yourself up for a much easier sale, because now you have the buyer come in with the home inspector and can really gum things up if there's something a big issue. So it's very important to get that consultation before you even list your home.
That is golden. I mean, to do it ahead of time, and to be so, as the seller appears to be more transparent, also to be
Correct.
more of an honest transaction. Not that others are dishonest, but it just seems to be opening up the communication and saying, hey, here, you know what? I know what's going on. And it makes buyers kind of feel like, well, maybe he already took his price, or her price, into account when this inspection was already done, and they're aware of what some possible difficulties could be.
Sure. I mean, when you go and buy a used car from a guy who's got no maintenance records versus a guy who's got all the maintenance records, I mean, what do you think the better buy is?
So, such a good point. Such a good point. Like, yeah, it feels open, right? It feels like somebody's communicating.
Right.
So yeah, definitely great stuff today. I super appreciate it. This is great information on home inspections. If you want to know more on home inspections and other things that we do in real estate, stay tuned here. Click our like and subscribe below. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Nice talking to you.